Hello all YouTubers, I'm the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning back into this tropical discussion for September 30th, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, if you guys want to stay up to date with the latest forecast and best forecast from the Weather Dude, then please, every single one of you that is not subscribed, please click the subscribe and the ring and the notification bell so you guys stay up to date with the latest The Weather Dude content. And also, please watch the whole video. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for 1,000 subscribers. It really does mean a lot to me. And this is taking the next step towards monetization, so please watch the whole video. It really does help out my channel a lot. And also, please give this video a like and share this with your friends. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. So for today, we're talking about a new tropical disturbance in the Caribbean. Not brand new, it hasn't become an invest yet, but it's a tropical disturbance brewing in the Caribbean, and it does have a 60% chance to develop now within the next 5 days. Now what you may notice is if you look at the chance of formation within the next 2 days, it's only 10%. So what that tells us is this thing's going to need time to develop, right? That's why the chance over 5 days is 60%, because it's probably going to take a few days to form as opposed to a day or two. So it's a tropical wave that's over the west central Caribbean Sea, and it's going to be moving west over the next couple of days, and we're not seeing any area of low pressure yet. That's why this really hasn't become an invest as of my latest check. With my luck, probably as soon as I publish a video, it'll probably be an invest. But as of right now, it is not an invest yet. If it does, hopefully I'll be able to update on it. Environmental conditions are going to be conducive for development thereafter, so after Thursday night and Friday, and maybe over the weekend as this moves to the Northern Caribbean, maybe into the Gulf of Mexico after that. There's a lot of chances for this system, and again, 60% chance of development. So ocean water, I can assure you, is not a problem, especially in a sea like the Caribbean Sea. I mean, we're talking about 1.5 plus Celsius degrees above average, all right, and sea surface temperatures in the Caribbean are the warmest they have ever been this year. 31 Celsius, that is ridiculous. All right, and even though it's warming up in a place like the Caribbean, it's actually starting to cool down in places like the Gulf Coast, southeast coast of mid-Atlantic. I think it's cooling down the Gulf Coast because we've seen so many tropical landfalls that each one that comes by, it just cools the ocean down a little bit. And plus, it's the first day of October tomorrow, right? At least for when I'm posting this, tomorrow's the first day of October. So, it's starting to get cooled down a little bit. But still, the Caribbean, we're seeing a lot of 31s here. So the warmest it's ever been in the Caribbean. And it's pretty much almost pushing 90 degrees. Now, the satellite loop of the storm system doesn't look too organized. I mean, it looks to me like a tropical wave, although we're starting to see a little blow-up of convection, a little organized convection there near storm center. So that's something to watch as well. Gfs model here, let's take a look at the Gfs model. As you can see, they actually have a nice tight low developing, 8 a.m. on October 3rd, on Saturday. All right, nice sustainable low pressure system. And then it moves into the northern, kind of actually sits there in the southern Gulf, actually, then maneuvers its way around the Yucatan, then back into the Bay of Campeche there. There's a storm center, as you can see by the pressure ice lines. The red L won't always be there because the tropical tidbits, it kind of appears on and off, but it's still there. See, there it is. It just appeared again. All right, and then it kind of sits in the Bay of Campeche, kind of mixes with another storm that's like right here, and the original storm was right here, and it mixes with something else in the Pacific, and it kind of just sits over parts of Mexico. So that could be very dangerous for Mexicans there who could be dealing with a lot of rainfall. But that's the end of that system. That's what the GFS model is saying about it. But if we look at the cyclonic vorticity signature, you'll be able to see the storm a lot better, as I always say. So there's a storm system right on the northeastern corner of the Yucatan. All right, this is, again, 8 a.m. on Saturday. All right, then it looks like it's going to drift north towards Florida. Then it kind of gets maybe caught up with a frontal system, and then its energy is just moved completely southwestward and harmful to a place like Mexico, but maybe the U.S. could avoid a strike. That's possible. All right, it could still very well go towards the U.S., so hopefully keep it here for updates as we watch the progression of the system. But then something else also happens to move northeastward, then that will also drop south. So I feel like this front is stalling, and it's preventing anything from going towards the United States. But then this other storm zips back up and makes landfall in the northeastern part of Florida. So that could be the same system we're talking about right now, right? I mean, we could see it break apart, and then two parts of the system could just split up and go different ways. Now, I will be showing you the GEM model towards the later part of this video, but I like the GFS model because it showed the full resolution wind speeds. The GEM model, as I'll show you right here, see how it's not full resolution, right? It doesn't say full resolution in the title. It doesn't look quite. GFS looks a lot more dynamic. I like this map. I wish the GEM model had the map like this as well. But taking a look, 8 a.m. on October 3rd, you can obviously see the tropical storm force winds indicated by the green and yellow on the northeast side of the storm system. All right, then it might sit there. It could lose a bit of strength. Then it drops into the Bay Campeche, but rapidly gains strength back. There's a little area of yellow and orange on the eastern side, so maybe winds closer to 60 miles an hour upon its landfall, maybe 65. All right, then it weaken and strengthen one more time. As you can see right there, there's another system in the Pacific, but there's that storm. Then another one behind that looks like a tropical storm as well. So these set of storms could be watching very closely, even though we're watching this tropical disturbance in this video. Like I said, it's a pretty big system, so it could very well break apart, and other parts of the system, like I said before, could develop. So probability of tropical cyclogenesis is going to be going over a few maps here before we take a look at the GEM model. Their probability, that's not the storm system. The one we're talking about is right here, and they're giving it about a 30 to 40% chance to develop here over the next 5 days, and this is the FNMOC, GEM, and European models. Now, when we take a look at, this is also the same thing, but this is, I think, yeah, this is within the next, it's like a different set of maps here, same models though, and then this, you can see 50 to 60% chance of development. So chances for development are pretty high. If we look at the cyclonic vorticity signatures right now, you can see there's a piece of that energy that will be eventually moving through, continuing to move through the western and northwestern parts of the Caribbean. And then we have the tropical intensity index, right, showing you that in the northwestern Caribbean, conditions for development are highly favorable. Maybe not behind that. All right, behind that, it's just moderately unfavorable. The green is highly unfavorable, meaning basically a tropical system will basically not be able to develop in the zone. Unfavorable means, okay, it's going to have to get pretty lucky in order to develop because conditions aren't that good. And favorable, it's like, okay, conditions are good, right? They're not the best, but they're good enough that this could develop into a tropical storm and give it time, maybe a hurricane. Then highly favorable means this could get some pretty good intensification. Maybe not rapid intensification, but the storm has a good developing environment. So what we're taking a look at here in the northwestern Caribbean is a lot of red, a lot of highly favorable conditions for development, and that's obviously good for the tropical disturbance, but not good for us. Also, look at the Bay Campeche where the storm is projected to go according to the Gfs model, and that it's also highly favorable development conditions there. Now let's take a look at the wind shear, because wind shear, I'm going to take a look at dry air as well. But wind shear also is a factor that determines like can tropical cyclones develop. Obviously, the weaker the shear is, the more a storm can develop. And as you can see, through the central and eastern Caribbean, wind shear has actually gone up 10 knots in the past 24 hours. But in the northwestern corner of the Caribbean, sandwiched right in between here and here, right in this zone here, we've seen wind shear has dropped 5 to 10 knots within the past 24 hours. So as for the storm is sitting right now, according to the National Hurricane Center, as of 2 o'clock, we'll get an update at 8 o'clock. But it's pretty much sitting right around, let's say, 77. It might even be around 79 by now, degrees west, and about 15 degrees north. So if we take a look at our map here, pretty much it's sitting around probably here in this general vicinity. All right, so it's just leaving that area of more shear. That's why you're seeing so much development on the eastern side of the storm system, because there's a lot of shear over towards the east. All right, but it's trying to leave that shear, and it will actually move into an environment in the northwestern corner of the Caribbean where shear is ultra low. Then after that, it might hook up with that front, and maybe shear could start going up again. Storms are playing with fire. They can develop along fronts because areas of spin can develop, but there can also be a lot of shear interacting with the jet stream. So when these storms interact with fronts, they got to know that they're playing with fire. They have to know that before making that decision to latch on with that front. It could also help them develop though, but it might help them gain non-tropical characteristics. Like you can see a low attached to a front with 80-mile-per-hour winds. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a hurricane. It has the winds of a hurricane, but it may not be organized enough because it's attached to that front and there's a lot of shear. So hopefully you guys know the point I'm trying to get at here. But as for the precipitation loop here, you can see the GEM model kind of saying something similar to GFS. 2 p.m. on Saturday, October 3rd, we have a low right in the northeastern corner of the Yucatan. But they have it dropping back into the Caribbean, right? Like sagging south back into the Caribbean, 997. Now a bigger low starts to develop with lower pressure. And if you're watching my nor'easter video that I did earlier, you might have saw this, that a storm could form and a nice hurricane making landfall in the northeastern Gulf. Now, the cyclonic vorticity signature, yes, you can see the storm better with this, but I think you saw pretty good the first time. But I will show you the cyclonic vorticity signatures anyway. So, again, low moves towards northeastern Yucatan, kind of sags back south, maybe merges with another area of energy, and a much bigger low, a nice-looking Category 1 plus hurricane in the northeastern Gulf of Mexico right there. Again, this is about 10 days out or so, so I wouldn't say take this with a grain of salt, but hopefully you had this in the back of your mind. Just keep this in thought, because we've had so many hurricane or tropical landfalls this year. Because there was years like 2010 where the tropics were super active, but there weren't that many landfalls, so it wasn't that bad of a year, even though we did have some pretty bad systems. This year, it was kind of like a double whammy. Not only have we seen so much tropical activity this year, but we're seeing a lot of landfalls as well. So it's kind of like going along with 2005 here, if not exceeding that. Why? Because of that La Nina. Sorry, my brain went out for a second there. So yes, because of that La Nina, this season is getting itself together. Remember, 2005 was a neutral year, right? ENSO neutral. So now keep in mind, ENSO neutral years can still produce very active hurricane seasons, but La Ninas can too. So there's your landfall with the GEM model as we wrap up here, and you can see with the winds, how strong are those winds going to be? All right. Now, like I was saying, pretty much it could become a Category 1 or so hurricane, right, as it moves through the Caribbean. All right, but if we look here, tropical storm, maybe even near a Category 1 hurricane. As you can see, some reds develop, maybe even some slight hints of purple. So they're projecting a strong TS, maybe a weak Cat 1 at landfall, but we're going to give this time. All right, so thank you guys for watching today's video. All right, it's October. Hurricane season's not over. We have, in fact, another 2 whole months. Pretty much exactly another 2 whole months. Season ends November 30th, so exactly 2 months. So you still got about 30% of that season to go. So thank you guys for watching today's video. I'm the Weather Dude, signing off. Till next time, I will catch you guys in the next video.